Okay.
All right. Well, welcome to the Worst Fibre podcast. I'm Troy, one of your hosts.
I'm Simone, another host.
And I'm Matthew, a.k.a. the Corner Gremlin.
I thought Goblin.
Sorry, I keep demoting myself. I don't know why.
And Kat, we've decided you're right.
Yeah.
Goblin's the way to go.
Goblin is the way to go. He has been...
Reinstated.
Reinstated, yeah.
I've been working hard.
And this is a Fibre podcast shot on location in Belfast, Prince Edward Island, in the store of Belfast Mini Mills. Words are hard this morning.
It's Friday. Struggle bus. We've had storms.
Yeah. These last 2 weeks.
I know.
These last 2 weeks.
It's winter.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Finally here.
Well, last week it was Islander Day.
Yep.
And then we had a storm the next day. And then the rest of the week was fine, I suppose.
We were so confused all week long. We had no idea what day it was.
Yeah. And then this week we had a weird storm, I'm going to call it. They're like, oh, it's going to be like 2 to 5 centimeters. Don't even worry about it. We got 15 at home easily. And you said that the plow didn't come around till like 10:30 or something like that.
Something like that, yeah. Down our road. It was quite a while before we saw a plow.
Yeah. And like I drive through the back roads to get from my house to here, and like the road I started on was fine, but the other side of that same road, not touched. Then I got onto the Iona Road, perfect. The other side of the Iona Road, across one of the other major highways, not touched.
Yep.
And then I got onto Garfield Road, where we are. Pristine.
Well, it's like the Garlock. Earlier in the week, the Garlock was like soup at the end. So I was like, okay, well, I can't go down there. And yesterday, again, it was soup in the morning. Mm-hmm. And then everything started to freeze yesterday afternoon. And today, it was like minus 20 wind chill when I went out for my walk this morning. So I wore my pajamas over my tights.
Yeah. And then yesterday, as you kind of mentioned, we went home early because... it had snowed in the morning, then it came... it's fine. Yeah. We'll go into work, and then it was bright and sunny until like 1:15, and it started to snow. And then at 2:30, we're like, we should go home.
Really coming down.
We should go home. So go home we did.
Yeah.
I just didn't come in.
Yeah, I noticed you weren't here, but I mean...
played hooky, as they say.
Yeah. But Evan did give us all the permission to not go into work yesterday because of the storm.
And you had a longer way to drive, too.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
And I also worked family day because I had to finish the Carter.
Yeah.
So I didn't feel that bad.
Yeah. You're getting your time in.
You're getting your time in. Yeah.
Oh, she remembered it's podcast day. She's walking down the side of the building.
We've finally trained her.
Finally. That's Linda. So let's have a quick little conversation about some of our camera issues from last time.
Yeah.
Let me take a sip first.
Sure. Well, I, for one, am really, really pleased with the quality of the video.
Yeah.
Like, so amazed.
Yeah. It's a little bit cooler than I expected.
Yeah.
Which we tried to fix that today with the auto white balance. We'll see if that works. Because, like, I know we're pretty white, but, like, I'm not as white as the driven snow like I was in last episode. There's little pink tones in there.
And our viewers have appreciated the video quality as well.
Yeah, we got a couple of really nice comments. So, part of the issues that we had. So, number one is the battery. It will tell us that it has full battery until it's down to 49%. It looks like it's just 3 little bars. So, when we checked the camera before starting there, last time, the camera looked like it was full. Like, we had taken a few pictures with it, but
and some videos.
Yeah.
We were getting acquainted.
Yeah. So we're like, it's fine, it's full. We're good. And then 30 minutes later, it goes into the red. And of course, the video recording stops at 29 minutes and 59 seconds. I'll get to that in a second. So then what we ended up doing is breaking for a half hour, charging the battery pack for a half hour, and we're able to get another half hour of video time out of it, which, I mean, good charge pack, like, versatility that way.
Yeah.
So, so that was one of the problems. And then the other issue is that the camera stops recording at 29 minutes and 59 seconds. And the thing is that we saw that and we just assumed that was 29 hours and 59 minutes, and that was just the max amount of time because we got a really big like memory card for this camera, so that way we didn't have to worry about like running at a space, right? And the thing is that the camera will also tell you how many pictures you can still take on this camera, and even though we've taken probably 24 pictures on it, it still says 9,999. So I think it just has so much space that it's maxing out that number. So that's what I assumed that whole 2959 thing was. But what it actually is, and this is across the board for all DSLR cameras, which is what we're now using for our video camera, is that there are tax laws in Europe that will add an additional 5 to 18% taxes on a video camera. And still taking cameras, photo cameras, are not subject to that tax as long as they're not able to record
half an hour
continuous 30 minutes of video. So hard-coded into every DSLR camera, so that way they can get around that tax law, is that the video will stop at 29 minutes and 59 seconds.
Unless you get one of the expensive cameras.
Well, but the thing is, that's not a DSLR camera. That's a video camera.
Yep.
Right? And part of the reason why they were so expensive is because that tax, the additional tax, is there. So, and the only way around that whole 29 minutes and 59 seconds thing is for us to upload new firmware into the camera, which will then void the warranty on our brand new camera. It's not something we're not doing that.
We love our new camera.
So we changed the format of our podcast a little bit. So what we're going to be doing is we will be restarting the camera every 30 minutes or less. And as kind of little breaks, we'll be putting in a few pictures of the projects that we've been working on here. So you'll see a close-up of the hat and the headband that we're working on right now, plus the other things as an intermediary thing. So that way,
a quick little intermission.
Yeah. It won't be that long, probably be 30 seconds, maybe a minute. If the podcast is getting really long, so that way if you want to go refill your coffee cup, you can.
And Matt has the fun job of herding these cats.
Yep.
Trying to keep us on topic and on time now. Ooh,
well,
man.
I think the viewers will be amazed at my new tool that I have to do that.
We're totally going to put that picture on Instagram later.
Yeah.
It's a duster, but it's my scepter for today. That's how I'll tell them when there's 5 minutes left.
Yeah, and he's going to just shake it, because when he shakes it, it makes a lot of movement, so we'll see it, because he's right behind the camera. But ideally, you won't hear too much of that, but we'll see.
He almost should have a basket of leftover balls of yarn and throw them at us whenever it's time.
Can I just do that anyways? That would be so fun.
I mean, yeah, if we've got little bits of spiders that we can make him, he can just we can give him a little slingshot, and he can just shoot them at us.
Kind of makes me think of, what was that show, You Can't Do That in Television? Where they used to slime people and stuff.
That was when I was a kid.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm apparently older than you are.
I mean, only technically. You remember right?
No, I don't.
YTV, they'd put you in the dump zone and they'd drop
they'd
slime on
you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I do remember that. Totally, yeah.
Anyway.
Let's get into whips.
There's a divergence.
Yeah, so, I have a number of whips today, so I will start. So I'm working on a hat for the store, and you might have noticed that I'm tinking because I messed up my crown, and I'm stealing one of Simone's crowns. So this is a rose hat, so you should be able to see a rose there. I'm assuming that I did it well enough. Yeah. I see a rose, but I've been looking at it for a long time.
That looks good.
It's incredible.
And my original plan for the top was I took a different rose and I had it grafted out so that way I could put it on top of the hat, similar to how I have a snowflake on another one of my hats. And when I finished this up, finished the actual rose part here, I realized I couldn't use that crown because it was for 112 stitches, and this hat's only 96 because the first hat was massive, and I forgot about that. So, so I'm just going to do I just did a little Latvian braid, herringbone trim, whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
on the top, and I'm just going to do a really tight crown, so that way I'm not adding too much to it, because this turned out to be a really tall hat as it is.
Yep.
It's already, like, we try to have our hats between 8 1/4 inches and 8 3/4 inches, about 8.5 inches tall when they're finished, and this one is already, well, with the little bit that I'm going to rip out, is 7 inches. So when I rip back down, I'll be back down to 6.5. So I have to make a crown that's less than 2 inches. So I've got my work cut out for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is made out of our Peony rose. Is that what we call this color?
I don't know, but I really, really like it.
Yeah, it's one of our special edition hand paints. It's online. I think it's called Peony Rose, which is why I'm making roses on it. It's Peony something. Anyway, it's one of our special editions, so it's like a Tweety yarn that we then overdyed. And then, of course, the white is our Samoyed dog hair.
Yep. Yeah, we're both doing the Samoyed today.
We are doing Samoyed today.
And
I wanted to bring something in that made it look like I actually got stuff done, because I started this hat after the last podcast, because I ripped out the other one, because I said I was going to rip it out because it was too big. I ripped it out and started it over. So this is the majority of the work that I've done these last 2 weeks.
I hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've kind of had a not so productive 2 weeks. Well, it's been productive because I finished some like hats and stuff for the store, but actually 2 of them sold yesterday, so I can't even show them.
Yep. Don't you love when that happens?
Yes, actually I do, because it's like, yes, people like my hats.
Well, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, so that makes me happy. And it means that, I get to knit more, which is always a bonus too, right? So my first work in progress is just a headband, and again, it's our hand-painted merino, and we don't actually have any more of this on the shelf.
Or online.
There was only one ball. I think it was a Linda experiment.
Yeah.
And I really, really love it, and I'm hoping that you guys can make more for me.
I think
this would be a really nice regular addition to our colors.
Yeah.
So it's purple, kind of like a sangria, chocolate brown, olive mix, and yeah, it knits up really nice.
Yeah.
I love it, and it's paired, of course, with our Samoyed. And I do have to say, we had intended to tell everyone that, yay, we have Samoyed back in stock online, and we did. But two somebodies, decided to buy us completely out of stock again. Yeah. So
we are making more. Don't worry.
Yeah.
We have a few more.
That's what I was doing yesterday, carting the Samoyed.
Yeah, and we still have another 30 pounds of stuff that needs to be dehaired. So we've got
more
to make. 30 pounds sounds like a lot, but when we dehair, like take all the like strong, coarse black hairs that are on the back of the dog, when we take that out of the fiber, that's half, if not more, of that 30 pounds. So like that 30 pounds is going to translate to maybe 15 pounds of yarn.
Yeah.
Maybe, if we don't lose too much.
Yeah.
And yeah, it takes a long time because, well,
it has to be double carded.
It has to be double dehaired, double carded.
Yeah.
And then we have to put it on the lace weight spinner, which works at a slower speed because it's
Finer.
more delicate.
Yeah.
And then since the bobbins are smaller, we have to replace them more often. So it just takes a lot more time than like spinning this stuff. This spins up like a hot damn. It's just like super fast.
Impressive. So impressive. It's like, woo, we got stuff done today.
Yeah.
and then when we're doing Samoyed, it's like, oh wow,
yeah,
like
just another
I didn't
18 more
accomplish
steps.
anything.
Yeah. Even though you did like most of the work that day. Yeah.
So that's what I should do then. I should help out by just dehairing Samoyed. I can listen to audiobooks. It'll let you guys get ahead.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what I have been doing, and I've made some great progress on some of the podcasts I listen to. So
I love when I look over and you're like snickering to yourself because you listen to that D&D podcast.
Yeah, it's so good. The last one that had me in stitches is their Valentine's Day special. Like, I'm 2 years behind the podcast. And right around Valentine's Day, I was listening to their Valentine's Day special. Now, it wasn't just special, but like it's the one that was happening just before Valentine's Day. And what they do at the beginning of the podcast is they talk about one of their like partners that like help fund them doing the podcast, right?
Sponsors.
Like one of their sponsors. Thank you. And they do like one of the people in the podcast. I should say that all 8 people that are in this podcast are all voice actors for cartoons. So like they're able to bring like life to everything that they do. It's incredible. Anyway, so one of them does like an ad for D&D Beyond. It's like a online thing that helps you build characters. And like he's been given like full license to be just like absolutely ridiculous with it. So for the Valentine's Day special one, what he did is he got like a track of like Spanish guitar music that he then spoke in like Antonio Banderas type of voice. And then just like
Puss in Boots.
Yes, and then like over this like Spanish music, he did like a sultry like ad for D&D Beyond, like making puns on different like magical effects, like shocking hands and things like that. Talking about like your hands are shocking to me or things like that. It was just
every time I looked over that day,
like
your stitches.
Like it was a full 90 seconds of me laughing
uproariously,
laughing out loud. Yeah. So I have a lot of fun. Listen to it, and they are hilarious. But I digress. We should move on to my next work in progress. So I am going to quickly show my podcast sock. That's what I'm calling it. It's the Tantamount sock. I haven't really done too much to it because the last podcast that we did, since it was just really 2.5-hour segments that had a lot of me like clicking and putting in chirons and having to pay attention, I only got like 2 rows of this done. So I'm still working on my heel. I'm probably not going to do the full, the pattern calls for 32 rows or desired length.
Right.
But the thing is that I only want mine to be about 2.5 inches long, and 32 rows would be more than 3 inches for me.
Yep.
Because
your gauge.
My gauge tends to be on the size needle 10 rows per inch, which makes it really easy for me to calculate how many rows I need to do something. So I think I'm at 22 rows, so I'm just going to do 26, so that way it's an even number, and then go pick up my side stitches and see how doing the rest of my heel on just the circulars go. I'm also, I don't think I mentioned it last time, but I'm using stitch markers from Lewis and Jane by our friend Laura Waddell, which I have something to show you from one of her designs here a little bit later. This is Fleece and Harmony's Point Brim Sock, color Rhubarb. It is a mohair blend. It's awesome. Can't wait till it's finished because they're going to be
so cozy.
A nice pair of socks.
Yeah.
Be definitely a more winter sock, I think, because of how how thick they feel, even though it is a fingering weight.
It's like cushy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah. So
I also have socks.
Yes, you do.
We're like right on par today. So before the holidays, I treated myself to Lina's 52 weeks of socks.
And I got it for Christmas.
Yeah. I chose a sock pattern out of here. It's called Branches. I'm just going to open it up. And it's by Amanda Jones. I'll see if there's a finished photo. Yeah. So theirs are in blue. And you can see just the picture. I'm not giving anything away. It's just a gauge and stuff like that. So, yeah. So they did theirs in blue. And we recently did some really gorgeous sock yarn.
Yeah.
In mango colorway. So I decided to do mine in mango because it's bright and it's cheerful, and why not? You need that in the wintertime, right? I also am using my Lewis and Jane stitch marker.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Laura. So yeah, I'm really loving how this is knitting up. My gauge was bang on with the pattern.
Okay.
For the recommended needles, so that made everything really easy. One thing that I will say about this book is there is errata, and I found that out the hard way because I had knit almost a full repeat of the lantern chart at the top of the sock, and there are 2 stitches that are actually charted in the opposite manner. So I have one round of kind of goofy looking lantern stitches, so instead of going in towards the center, they're charted for outwards. So I fixed it on the next repeat, and I guess whenever I go to do the second sock, because I didn't tear that out, I'll probably just repeat the way it's charted and then go on to the correct version so that the socks match, because I want them to actually match. And I mean, it's so small and tiny that most people wouldn't notice unless you pointed it out.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where I'm looking at it and it's like, that doesn't look right. Doesn't look like the pattern. What's going on? So of course I go hunt on Ravelry and I'm seeing other people's socks look perfect. And it's like, why do mine look different? And then that's when I found out there was errata. So
yeah.
it's like, oh,
yeah,
I should get in the habit of checking patterns first.
Yeah, like, I mean, that's probably a good thing to be doing
Yeah.
anyway, because like even our pattern book has errata. I shouldn't
Yeah.
say even ours, of course ours does. That's our first book. There's going to
Yeah.
be mistakes. But like even big companies like Knitpicks, for example,
Yeah.
they have gorgeous pattern books.
Yeah.
And almost every single one of them has errata to them.
Yeah.
Because like, I mean, it's just one of those things that like
It happens.
it just happens.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like that was literally a stitch symbol is swapped with a different one.
Yeah.
So when you're looking at the entire chart, unless you're like looking at every single one, you're not going to see that right
Yeah.
away.
And it was funny too because I kind of drove myself a little nuts with it. Well, the whole thing. So I learned a new cast on. It's the Norwegian or German twisted. And it's always good to try learning from different sources. So I had a little video snippet for this on my phone and I'm following it along and I just can't get it. I spent over an hour with this cast on method and of course Kirby's saying snarky things. I'm not going to repeat them because I texted Mom and Mom's just laughing saying, how did you not kill him for saying that stuff? So yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
one of them was really funny.
It was really funny.
Why don't you just knit a gauge swatch?
It's just like, ah, I could if I cast on. A butthead. So, long story longer, I left that video alone and I went to another website that had step-by-step pictures of the cast on method and I got it with that. So if you're getting frustrated with technique or anything like that, it's always good to check a few different sources because we all kind of learn in different manners and teach in different manners. So yeah.
Yeah.
Moral of the story is
Do your gauge swatch.
you're the worst.
I am the worst.
Do your
It's
gauge
Fibre
swatch. My
podcast.
mom's gonna love that.
Yeah, I know she is. All right. So then the last thing I'm going to show is my sleeve that I'm still working on. I didn't get much done on it this week because I misplaced my cabling needle. So I had to go steal my emergency cable needle from my car and put it in my bag. I just don't know where my other one went.
It's probably up there somewhere because you had been using.
Well, I was using it up there, but I have a nasty habit, as you pointed out on the last podcast, to stick my cable needle behind my ear.
Oh,
and
right.
I remember putting it behind my ear while I was knitting in my bedroom, which I was knitting on my bed.
So
And
you're gonna roll over on it, is what you're saying.
Well,
sometime.
no, I checked my sheets and I washed my sheets this weekend. So like, I mean, they're not in my sheets anymore. If they're
It's
anywhere,
like
they're in the dryer.
burrowed right into your mattress. So
Yeah,
you roll over and sometime it's like, ow.
But I put them in my ear. I put it in my ear, and I don't remember taking it out of my ear and putting it on my desk before going downstairs for coffee. So like, it's probably fell down on the way down the stairs and got kicked under some bookcase or something like that between my bedroom and the kitchen for
Yep.
me to refill my coffee. So I had to go grab my emergency cable needle from my car, which is what I call the one that I just fell out of my bag in my car and it just stayed in my car. So I put it
Your
in
emergency
my console.
cable needle.
So I
love
just
it.
put it there, yeah. Anyway, so this is where I am. I have my little progress marker. I did that this time. That's where I was last time. So I had finished the cuff of my sleeve and then continued going on to the podcast, and then the beginning of the class was like, oh, I made a mistake, and I started tinking because I was supposed to start my cabling row. So that's where I finished off in the podcast, and that, I don't know, how much would that be? 5 inches? That's how much I've completed.
We're
Yeah.
getting the signal.
We're getting the signal, which is good because that's the end of this section. So we'll be right back with, after this little slideshow of the things that we've been working on, with our next segment. So anyway, welcome back.
We almost need to go like take two.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we could get a clapper. Anyway.
And we're not talking the clap on, clap off, clapper.
Clapper. No.
We should get a clapper. I could actually come into frame and do it.
Oh, that kind of clapper. Okay, yeah, that would be kind of funny. Where you're wearing your gloves.
Yeah.
Your goblin gloves.
Goblin gloves.
Ooh, the tangents.
I know. So, it's finished objects.
Yeah.
Would you like to start, since I started the last segment?
Sure.
Okay.
I
just want to continue taking.
I did have multiple finish objects.
Okay.
As I mentioned earlier, but they sold already. So I have one left right now, and that's because I haven't brought it into the shop yet. It's my little, paper people headband. They kind of look like paper people. That's why, like the paper dolls.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I finished that up, and it's in the same colored merino that I was knitting this in. I really like this color a lot, and you can see it better with these guys. I was just trying to switch things up a little bit with that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I've just been mainly doing a few hats here and there for the shop and neglecting my slipstravaganza and my spinning because I'm terrible. Actually, it's like yesterday we got home early and I read my book instead of doing anything productive because I wanted to read instead.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, you gotta make time for reading. I was good, and when I went home, I worked on this for an hour of the 2.5 hours that we got home early for. Or, well, I say 2.5 hours. We left 2.5 hours
So
early.
well behaved.
And then it took me 45 minutes to drive, a 20-minute drive home.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah, so I guess you're already done. Okay.
Yeah.
So I already kind of had a spoiler moment, foreshadowing of a Laura Waddell pattern.
Yep.
I went and I made myself a cowl from her rosebud cowl. So this yarn is our superwash wool, and this was actually part of my test batch for another thing that we're going to talk about here in a minute. People who are on our Instagram have already seen what I'm going to talk about here.
Yep.
But this was a concentration test for some dyeing, and this concentration was too close to a different one. And I did not dye it very evenly, which in this case I was trying to, these are all kettle dyed, but I was trying to get them fairly even. So I was trying a new tying off thing. We were trying new snap ties,
Those
which
work
worked really well. So we're going to be making some of them and putting them in the store, so that way dyers can buy them up too. So this is Laura Waddell's rosebud cowl. I use the size crochet hook that she calls for the pattern, the 5mm. I ended up only doing 5 repeats as opposed to the 6 that's in the pattern, or I did 4 repeats and then the finish section when there's 6 of the sections, because I wanted this cowl to not be too drapey. I want it to actually stick to my face when I'm walking.
Yeah.
And it does a fairly good job of that because I've taken it walking a few times. It's just that when it gets windy, unless I'm holding my shoulders up like this, it doesn't actually stay up on my face.
Yeah.
So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a string to the inside of it. So just going to do a crochet chain and then sew it in such a way that you can't see it from the front. So that way I can have it just gently tied up behind my massive head.
I figured out why mine stays up, because I usually wear my rosebud cowl whenever I go for a walk in the morning too, because I wear that headlamp and it has a light on the back too that you can turn on, so you're visible to cars on both sides. Yeah. And I've been hooking it over the top of that and bringing it down over my nose, and it's folded in. So yeah, I'm all snuggled in, and all you can see is my eyeballs.
Yeah.
But that's why it stays put, because I have something to actually hook it on.
Yeah, and you use a smaller hook anyway.
No, I use that size.
Oh, you used a 5?
Yeah.
Then you're a really tight crocheter. Because I am a loose crocheter.
Yep.
I know that, but the height of mine is quite a bit taller than yours.
Yeah.
I don't want to exaggerate, but somewhere between here and here longer.
Like yours height wise better, because it would be extra snuggly.
Oh yeah, I'm folding it over, and then snuggling into it like that.
Yeah.
But there was on one of my more recent walks where it wasn't too far below 0. It was only like -5 or something like that, and I had to take it off because I was dying of heat.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it crocheted up real fast.
Yeah, you were super fast.
Yeah,
That.
well, I started it on Thursday, and I kind of like pecked at it for an hour, and in that hour I was able to finish one of the 6 sections.
Yeah.
So then I had Saturday off this past Saturday, which is rare for, even though that's supposed to be a day off, but like just when snowstorms happen and we have to close the store, like I like to come in on that Saturday so that way we can still get work done.
Yeah.
And just so happens that the snowstorm that we had that week lined up with the day that I was taking off in lieu of Islander Day, because I was here on Islander Day.
Yeah.
So I got to stay home on Saturday, so I knit this, which, I mean, it was good that I stayed in doing this, crocheted this, not knit this, on that Saturday, because I hurt my leg.
Yeah,
the Thursday before,
a rough day.
and the
limping.
Friday, I was limping all over the place because it just like it felt fine in the morning, but then as went on, like the muscle that I hurt got worse and worse and worse. So then Saturday, I stayed in bed for the majority of the day, felt a lot better, went for a walk, made it hurt again, and I've been doing this, so like every second day this week I've gone for a walk, and the next day it hurts. So I'm just going to give up on my step challenge that I was doing, because I'm very close, but I would need to go for 2 walks this weekend of each like 2 hours apiece for me to catch up on it, and I don't think
it's just too much.
I think it's just too much for it right now. Because yesterday I went for a walk, and yeah, well, I went for a walk Wednesday night after before rehearsal, and and then all day yesterday, like when I would walk and like turn my leg, that muscle would hurt. Yeah. So like this morning it's fine.
Yeah.
And I'm going to imagine tomorrow will be fine. It only hurts like when I like hyperextended, or if I it's not even when I put weight on it, like I can jump on it.
Sometimes it could be your shoes, because I know like whenever my knees were hurting, I really needed new shoes because I put like 1,500 kilometers on.
That's true.
Those.
Might be that.
Yeah.
But anyway, enough about my leg. This is a knitting podcast, or a fiber podcast is what I should say.
Yeah.
So this is super warm. Long story short. Tangents aside, this is really warm. I wouldn't mind making another bin. I'd probably do a smaller crochet hook, and just cast on an additional number of, or chain a number of additional chains, so that way I have the same height. But then I could make it a little bit tighter, so that way like it stretches back down to a smaller size, because since it's superwash, once this stretches out a little bit, it tends to stay there. So
Sarah Brothers did one in one of our shawl balls, which is like a fingering weight.
Yeah.
And she went down with the hook size, and it turned out so nice.
Oh yeah.
Like I really need one of those in my life.
Yeah, I'll have to ask her to show it to me, because I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that concludes my finished objects.
And mine.
Okay.
So we can move right along.
Yeah, we were slack this week on our finished objects.
Yeah.
So the next thing is I want to talk about how my spinning's been going this week. I haven't done much spinning, well, these last 2 weeks. I haven't done much spinning this week because we busy, and I took my spinning wheel on Wednesday, so that way we could take a picture for our Ashford order that we're going to be doing. More on that in a minute.
To take mine.
Because
mine's really like beat up and
well, I mean, like
loved looking.
When I saw the picture, I'm like, oh yeah, it looks great, and then I can see on one of the pedals, I'm not going to say which one, where my heel sits, and it's just slightly darker. Anyway, so I've been working on the C-Cell wool blend from the Fleece artist. I think I might even have the ball here somewhere in my pile of goodies, not that bag. Yep. So this is what remains of the first half. So this was a pencil rove, or this is a pencil roving that was skeined off, and it was actually 2 pencil rovings skeined together that was held together while it was being dyed. So I skeined them off, rolled them into 2 separate balls. This is remains of the first ball. The second ball has been untouched, And like this pencil roving is just a dream to spin. It's so simple to spin from, and it drafts no problem, right? Like anyway, so I've been working, and I'm just trying to get just going to do a 2-ply. I'm hoping it's somewhere in the DK weight, and like it's, yeah. And like as I'm spinning it, like there's more blue spots in it than wasn't there that you could see in the skein, just because of
your nails almost match some of the blue in it.
Oh.
It's awesome.
My nails that are chipped and all of that. Anyway, yeah. So it's coming along. I'm learning to like actually like move my I don't know what
The
you
willy
call that.
winder.
Yeah, that part up and down more often, because I was just leaving it, and then I'm like, oh, I've got a big mound. I probably should move it. So I'm getting better at that, and mine's not like yours where you have a number of them hooks on one side. Mine's like a squeeze and you move up and down, which, I mean, it works. I think I would rather
the hooks.
Yeah, because like the hook, like I feel like you're just like, you run your finger up and you're like, oh, there, next hook. And the other one, I have to like stop and I have to like hold it, and then I have to like make sure I'm not angling it while I'm moving it forward. It's a whole ordeal. I've only
ever used the hooks because the antique wheel that I have at home, like, it has hooks too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
because that was well before woolly winders were invented.
Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, this is what I've been working on. So once I finish this, I'm gonna get into my spinning braids, and I think it'll be time for me to buy a lazy Kate, so that way I can do some cool stuff with the spinning braids, because I want to do something that isn't a 2-ply. I think I'm not gonna say I've mastered
the lazy Kate too, because she wants to do more than a 2-ply.
Yeah. So I just want to play with that because I've got a grasp on plying, so now I just want to play with, like, I want to play with cable plies. I want to play with I should have looked this up for the podcast, but it's a variation of the cable ply where you spin 3 strands, 2 one way, the other the opposite way.
Magazine, right?
Yeah. And then you do a 2-ply, and then you spin your 2-ply that's been spun too far, like too much, and then and that looks like a lot of fun.
Totally a bad influence because Troy bought ply.
Yeah, I did order the ply magazine, so I have a subscription for the year. I'm going to try it for the year, and then I'll probably be sucked in for the rest of my life.
Yeah, you totally will be. And for all you spinners out there that haven't checked it out yet, check it out. It's a really great resource. There's so many good articles. It's just chock-a-block full of information, and the ads that are in it are all pertinent ads. So, and they're also not overwhelming. Which is nice. So they're just a few finally like well-placed ads that.
Well, I mean, it's a magazine. They have to have ads. Another good magazine, which it's not really subscription. You just go buy them. It's the Wheel magazine that Ashford puts out. And when, at least for the last few Kiwis that we've been getting into the shop, they include a free issue. So I have the issue from December, I think, because that's roughly when it's a quarterly magazine. And it is just chocked full of weaving patterns and spinning plies, articles on spinning. One of the articles that I read in the Wheel magazine was why spinning thick and thin yarns helps you become a better spinner. And it teaches you how to like make sure that your thick and thin yarns, I'm talking about like
purposely
really thin to really fat to really thin, and making it so that way your fat parts don't act as like weaknesses in your yarn. And then there's another article about how to go back from spinning finer to going back to spinning something a little bit thicker, because apparently that's a big issue.
Yes, it is.
So I think I found a good ply, good single thickness, because that I'll weigh it and see if I need to go any finer, but this looks to be like what a 2-ply fingering weight would end up being. And then I can just do a 3-ply for a DK, 4-ply for a worsted Aran, which is part of the reason why I need a lazy Kate, because I can only do a 2-ply right now. But anyway, so moving into our Ashford order, there's a dog here. Okay, it's gone.
Can't understand why there'd be dogs
I know.
everywhere.
So we're doing an Ashford order. So you're seeing this here on Monday. The deadline for our Ashford order. Sorry for the small amount of deadline. If you follow our Instagram, you've had a week. But on Wednesday is our deadline. Wednesday at 5 o'clock, because we're going to be putting the order in first thing Thursday morning.
Yeah.
So everybody who signs up for their Ashford order, you can order whatever you need from Ashford. We can get it. No deposit required. But if you do pay in full on Tuesday or Wednesday, we'll be in contact with you because we're going to take your contact information.
Yeah.
We'll get in contact with you. If you pay in full for your order, you can get 15% off. If you're unable to pay for your order before the deadline, I'm afraid you'll have to pay regular price. That comes in the store. But most of the items there are very reasonably priced. The only things that are like very expensive are the big ticket items.
Yeah.
All of the
looms and wheels.
But all like the paraphernalia, like ridiculously cheap. Like a lazy cake costing $40 is
pretty sweet.
Yeah. So so we're going to be doing that. So get your orders in. Simone and I are prepared to take a bajillion phone calls there on Tuesday, because when you guys see this, it'll probably be 4:45 on Monday afternoon if you are seeing this for the first time when we premiere it at 4. So you probably won't be able to order today, but Simone and I will both be here on Tuesday taking all of your orders, and Wednesday taking all of your orders if you so choose.
And this is also a good time to mention too that if you're enjoying the podcast and you want to stay up on all the information, it's really good to follow us on our socials, because we tend to post there first. So follow us on Facebook if you're a Facebook user, and Instagram if you're an Instagram user. We don't do Twitter.
We have a Twitter. I have secured the Twitter. But I have not been doing the tweeting. And the only tweets that are up there is just from like the Instagram posts that like it's all linked, so that way if you want to post it to Twitter, we can post it to Twitter. It's just that I don't understand Twitter.
Neither do I. But it seems like Islanders really, really love it. And I'm just like I can't follow it.
I'm getting better at using it.
I don't even try.
But I don't have the mental capacity / time to be able to invest into
figuring out
enough how to do the platform to do it effectively. Because the concept is easy. You just tweet out a status. But the thing is that tweeting out statuses as a business doesn't do much for the business. It's just us like
I'm all
screaming
about the
into the void.
That's why Instagram works, because I like to take the pictures. And I mean, I don't take all of them. You take a bunch too, but
I'm not as good at them.
I like that fun.
But anyway, so we do have that. We have the Ravelry page, which I am getting better at responding to. For those of you, speaking of that, we did a stay out of my coffee. We did a listen along for the Queen's Gambit. Simone finished the book. I got to the 3rd chapter and
had enough.
You told me never to read it.
Because like
you stormed into the shop and said, "Don't do it."
Yeah, I'm like, "Hey, did you get that audiobook? Did you get that?" And Matt's like, "No." I'm like,
save your
don't
credit.
bother. Save your money. Because we're not going to repeat what we said on the Ravelry page, but we opened up the thread there, and then we both posted what we thought on the thread. So if you want some
and I have to say too,
some scalding tea,
it's far more polite on the Ravelry than it was in the mill when we started talking about it, because we were just like, so
the author feels like a creep. I'll just put it that way. He feels like a creep.
And from my understanding, because I have friends that have enjoyed the show, they said that the show was fantastic.
Well, they would probably have taken all that creepiness out.
Anyway. They skipped a lot for the show, and you get the full-on effect with the book.
Thank God. Anyway.
So, in future, we'll try and choose better books.
We'll look at some more reviews of things before we get into it, because I'm
not a bad book bender. Like, I swear, I just kind of have the bad touch when it comes to books lately. Some of them, like, I love it whenever you find a series and it's really good and you're powering through it, and then you finish the series and it's like, what am I going to read now? And I kind of hit that spot there, so I've been sampling all these other different books, and man, So many bad books out there.
There is, it still exists, but I've kind of fallen off of it because I think I just absorbed too much of it all at once. The Expanse series by James Corey.
Yeah.
It's actually two guys that write under that pen name. It's a sci-fi novel that uses like actual science, not like you know, teleporters or whatever.
Well, I've been working my way through Isaac Asimov, and
okay.
I do like those for science fiction, and I've been going through the Count of Monte Cristo.
Yes.
Because I cannot go wrong with that.
You'll find
it's a good story. It's a classic.
Yeah, but if we want to get on, if anybody wants to get onto a series, the Expanse series is good. They're up to 9 books now. But I'm on the 6th one, and like it's like changed tone, and I'm not totally on board with it.
It's almost like the writers.
Well, like there's a big time skip, right?
Okay.
And like I mean, I'm sure the writers just got sick of writing for those main characters that were there. And I mean, before the time skip, like the characters that they changed perspective to, like, was a character that I liked in the other ones. And I mean, I still like her, but it's not the same. So I'm just like, I'll put this on the back burner for now. Yeah. So I'll probably have to go back to
pick that up.
Tiamat's Wrath and listen. The names are awesome. Anyway, so
yeah, our apologies.
Yeah.
Our apologies.
On
fun language.
For anybody who did that.
Yeah.
So we had a question of the day. Kind of, sort of, yes?
Did
yes.
we? You guys said we did, but I couldn't find it on the...
spinning box.
The spinning box.
Yeah.
So I believe it was Allie who asked.
Yeah. And Debbie Godfrey as well was...
Interested in it,
yeah.
Wondering, like, we have the subscription box for yarn.
Yeah, it was Ali with a big E.
Yeah.
Hi, thank you for another great episode and on a holiday at that. Would you ever consider doing spinning fiber for the monthly subscription box, almost as a tester for those who want to try their hand at spinning or try your hand at spinning roving?
Yeah. So so that's kind of two things. So we would love to do like a spinning fiber box. We would also love to put like have one of our subscription boxes be a spinning fiber thing.
Yep.
The tricky thing about doing like a single box that just has spinning fiber in it and only spinning fiber in it is that it's there's a lot more investment. Like you can go out to the dollar store and buy a set of needles if we send out like a box for a hat or whatever, but you need to spend at least $35 on a good drop spindle if we send out a spinning box. And then on top of that, like, drop spindling may not be what you like to do, because I personally did not like doing the drop spindle at all. I just wanted to get through that part to figure out how to do drafting, because I knew I'd love the spinning wheel, and I do. So, and the thing is that, like, expecting our customers to drop $600 on a spinning wheel is...
See, I love the drop spindle.
Yeah.
I play with we kind of have a shop
spindle, yeah.
Shop spindle, yeah. I can't talk today, apparently.
That's okay.
And, yeah, I play with it frequently.
Yeah. I have not touched my drop spindle since I got my spinning wheel.
Yeah. I have a little collection of spindles at home, too, that I use. Because I picked up one of those Fox Mountain... I'm going to get the name of it wrong. Gilligan's? The Scottish...
Oh, okay.
Spindles without the whorls?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was without the hook.
Yeah, it's got like a little tip, like a mushroom on the top,
yeah,
and you do the
like
half
a twirly thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and I really love that. I play with that a lot, especially since like his woodworking is amazing. It's so silky, smooth, soft, and perfect. Yeah.
So then, getting back to the fiber box, I'd love to do that, but that's like a big investment for people to go out and just do a box, because we wouldn't be including the spindle. And then the other thing is that I feel that many of our subscribers, since it is like previously has largely been a knitting box, I think the expectation has been set that it is primarily knitting, because there was some requests for a knitting pattern when we did our crocheted one there in January, which I mean is fine. Not everybody likes to crochet, but and I'm not saying that we're not going to do a crochet pattern again, because we will. But like going from a yarn based project to a spinning fiber thing, that's a big jump, right? And
I think maybe too it might be the thing that for people that already have their wheels and like a separate subscription
Might be
box,
better.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that, if we had enough interest down the road,
Yes.
we can certainly entertain the idea of it. And
Yeah.
I did have some thoughts that we need to talk about.
Yes,
with that.
because when we first started the subscription box,
Yeah.
we had this conversation
Yeah.
about maybe thinking like doing it like, because the original thought was doing a quarterly box where
Yeah.
you get a bigger box. Our website just doesn't let us do that currently.
Yeah.
You get a bigger box where you get like a larger project instead of just like a single skein project like we're sending out now.
Yeah.
And then we were going to have a separate one that was going to be for spinning stuff, because
Yeah.
then we could send out enough for you to do some fun stuff with it, right? But limitations with the software that we have on our website need it make it a monthly box. Just limitations, so we decided to go with the yarn instead of the spinning stuff.
And maybe down the road, if we have enough
If we
people
have enough
interested,
interest.
we could do like a braid of the month club,
Yeah.
and that will require us to really like get crackpot with the dyeing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when we release our spinning braids later this summer, because that is something that we're going to be doing.
It's something we're working
Spoiler
towards.
alert.
Yep.
Once we release that and we start doing that more often, then the subscription box for spinning will be back on board.
Yeah.
And
Another spoiler too, and
God.
it fits in with this.
okay.
Is since we're doing the Ashford order,
Yeah.
if you're a local and you want to see more Ashford products, we are getting how many spinning wheels for the shop?
Well, we're getting 2 models. Like
Yep.
we're getting a traditional and a Kiwi for model, and then we're going to getting a couple more Kiwis in, so that way if you want to come in and buy a Kiwi and walk out with it, you'll have that.
Yep.
And we're expanding the spinning section as
Yep.
well. So we're gonna have lots of cool stuff.
Yeah. And we also offer assembly for the Kiwis
for
as
the
well.
Kiwis.
Troy's just really wanting to put one together.
Yeah,
He's
but
just dying to try.
Yeah, but I also just wanted the Kiwi, so instead of waiting
Yeah.
for someone to order something from Kiwi, I just bought the one that we had on the shelf. So we're gonna take another quick break. Put a couple more pictures up of the stuff that we talked about, and we'll be right back.
Yep. And we're back.
Yeah, we're back. And if things look different here, other than Simone and I shifting in our seats, blame
Matt kicked the camera.
Matt kicked the camera.
Out of spite.
So so you can beat him up when you see him if you ever find the.
You have to figure out who he is first.
Yeah,
though.
that's true.
Yeah.
We've given you plenty of clues, though. Anyway.
Yeah.
So now it's our shop update.
Yep.
We didn't get to do it last time, so we're going to try to bang through this as quickly as we can, because there's a
Yep.
number of things that we did, and there's a couple of things that aren't here because they're still sitting in the middle.
Not totally complete.
Not totally complete.
Yeah.
I'll get to that when it's my turn.
Yeah. Okay. So first up, we have a restock of Angora Bunny. So this is our worsted weight, and it's 50% Angora Bunny and 50% fine merino. 2-ounce skein, 125 yards. It's really lovely, and if you don't love the idea of using dog fur for these kind of fun hats and headband projects, you can always swap out Angora Bunny for it. It's soft, it's fluffy, and it goes really well, and it's got the nice halo whenever you knit with it like the Samoyed does.
Yeah.
And we also have it in fingering weight, which I think is super dreamy.
Yeah.
This is a little bit different. It's 30% Angora Bunny and 70% extra fine merino. So it's kind of extra decadent.
Yeah. It's
And,
really quite nice.
Yeah, you did a fantastic job spinning it.
Thank
too.
you. So they both have a little bit higher twist than we normally have in a lot of our yarns,
Yeah.
simply because I wanted to have that so that way they have a little bit more plushiness to them. And then that way when they start to halo, they don't shed as quickly.
Yeah.
Because the thing is that the halo effect is when the shorter fibers are starting to pull out of the yarn, right?
Yeah.
And like this hat is going to be very hairy when it's being used. So the Angora should help.
Yeah.
It'll still halo up nicely, but it shouldn't shed as much.
Did we have a short skein of this? Like a little one that we put in the bin? Because if
Probably.
so, I have a bunny hat pattern that I
Okay.
could totally knit
Okay.
for the shop.
Yeah. Let's do that.
Yeah.
So then the fingering weight is also a 2-ply. We tend to do a 3-ply here, so it's more oval yarn. It'll still work perfectly fine in your colorwork projects.
Yep.
It made it easier for me to spin it and still have that plushiness, because so many fine singles tend to make a harder rope-like yarn when you add more twist to it. So having fewer plies, makes it feel squishier. So we talked about that on our Instagram, so it's not a surprise to you if you've follow our Instagram. So hint, hint, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. So the next thing I'm going to show you is something that we're going to show you on the Instagram. And if you follow our Instagram, you'll see the other 2 colors here for Friday's post as well. It's just that I have not finished making them into the pretty boxes. So we, as we teased last time, have coordinate kits now. And I've been giving them like a hot beverage name theme. So our first one that we finished was our brown kit. So this is our chocolate brown kit. We're calling it warm cocoa. So each of these kits are basically the same. You get 4 of the same color in a tonal series and a white skein. The idea behind these is that you should only have to buy 1 or 2 of these for the yoke of a colorwork sweater that you want a tonal yoke to. And then you buy a coordinating color yarn to go with it. So this is made out of our Island Collection worsted base. So that's all this stuff behind us. The reason why I want to take some time on this one is because this was a challenge to make it even across the batch. So what I actually ended up doing is, instead of making all these little skeins and then dyeing each of the little skeins, I ended up doing a really big skein. And then dyeing that one big skein a certain color, and it is a monster skein because it stretches the limit of our caker. Yeah, it does. And Matt graciously is going to be building me a new machine to take care of that. Like, how lucky are we? I know, right? That's awesome. We do one big skein of each of these. So when we do these, we'll only be able to do a few at a time. I tried to make it so that way we could do 10, but I did not account for how the skein would slightly shrink over the course of me dyeing it. So 10 skeins worth of yarn after being dyed, it works out to be 9 3/4 skeins worth of yarn. So there's only 9 of each of these colors. So this one's warm cocoa. So we have a brown kit. This is our blue kit, porcelain blue, like a porcelain teapot. So same idea, just the same 4 colors. And then we've got our Earl Grey. This one was a challenge because the trickiest part of doing these things is that the lightest skein has such a small amount of dye in the water that I have to like swirl it in such a way that the dye evenly goes throughout the skein, but I don't swirl it so much that it tangles the skein. And the thing is that these 4 colors are directly related to the 4 grays and 3 grays and black that we have in our merino roving that we sell. And 2 of the colors, the light gray and the dark gray, are actually a lighter variation of a light gray to begin with. So like these 2 grays are the same dye. This medium gray is the full strength of that, and this is like less than half of that strength. And then the dark gray is a really weak version of our black, which it turned out lovely. It's very tonal. There's a lot of color variation in these ones because of how that one worked out. But I'm happy with the overall effect. So if you want something more neutral, that might be the way to go. And then finally, the colorway that inspired our subscription box for January, Tea Rose. So this is our burgundy set, and I've nailed the color the color variations between them. So now we have like a good set that works across the board. There are 2 more colors that are out in the mill. One is a lilac colorway that we're calling Jasmine. So it is like a nice lilac color, similar to that one for the full tone. So that would be the second darkest one. The dark tone is like a more saturated version, so it's like this, and then it turns into like a really light, I think it might be out of frame, but there's a periwinkle lavender there. That's what the lightest skein, and it turned out really, really nice. It's just sitting on the skein winder out there. And then the last color that we did is a forest green colorway.
Yeah.
But that one broke a little bit because green, it's always 2 colors. So it's going to split. I'm going to work on making it not split so bad next time. But it turned into like a cool, like, foresty, turning into like bright, like,
I really love it. It was such a happy accident. It's not what you intended, but it's beautiful.
It reminds me, as I continue to think about it, it reminds me of the second lightest skein, reminds me of sunlight beaming on leaves in the forest. It's that kind of green. So it's going to be really nice when it's boxed up. You'll be able to see pictures on our Instagram starting Friday, and for our subscribers that are not on the island, they will be available online after this podcast airs. So you can order them as of 5 o'clock Monday afternoon. So you could probably go right now and watch that, and then come back and finish the rest of our podcast.
And we didn't give the name of the last colorway.
Oh, the last colorway is matcha.
Yeah.
Like matcha tea.
So we're going really into the beverage theme.
Really into the warm beverage thing. Although 3 of them are teas.
Yeah.
I was hoping I could get coffee in there somehow, but maybe next time.
We considered coffee for the warm cocoa one because we were trying to think of like that and an Italian dessert. Which I'll put it down on screen. I'm not gonna butcher the Italian language like I do in every choir setting that I'm in. Needless to say, we were both like ravenous after looking at all those pictures of cake on the internet.
Yeah, it's incredible. I'll show you what it looks like, Matt. And then you'll want to go buy this $400 cake.
I
or just eat cake.
You can't have your cake and eat it too. Anyway, so that concludes our yarn part of our store update.
Yep.
But we have a couple new things for our needle felters and even some of our quilters if you want to use it for quilt batting.
Yeah.
Take it away.
I will take it away. All right. So we've got some really beautiful pre-felts. They're 1/3 Angora rabbit and 2/3 merino wool. This pre-felt is like a little delicious fluffy cloud. It's so light and airy, and it would be perfect for like baby quilt batting or just various baby items. And then we also have the thicker version of it as well. So again, the same ratio, but a little bit thicker.
Well, it's more than double the thickness, really.
A little bit.
Yeah.
A lot bit?
A lot bit, yeah. And this is only available in store. It's not on our website. If you are from away, you can give us a call. But this is our felt sheets, generally speaking, are not the kind of things that we send out in our online flat shipping. Because,
well, truth be told, we usually don't have enough.
Yeah.
Because we have such a booming felting community here
up.
that,
and then some of the bigger pieces are just...
They're big, honking,
prohibitively expensive for us to ship. So unfortunately, we can't absorb the extra $1 or $2 that we tend to absorb when our customers are using our flat shipping rate.
Yeah. So yeah, if you're looking for special edition felt, this is definitely the way to go. They're so soft and fluffy. Yeah. They're also untrimmed too, so you can trim them if you desire, and you can cut them to suit your needs.
Yeah.
So
the pre-felt would be good for applique, and then also if you're looking to do if you're doing needle felting and you want accents that gives you that like little bit of a hairy texture, since it has not been wet felted, the pre-felt, the thinner felt, you can still pull it apart. It's literally just being held together by itself.
Yeah.
It's gone through the needle felter just the once, so that way it doesn't just like come off and flies like a bat would.
And it was neat to see how it all works because I'm at the Carter now, so Hazel's been training me for some of the felting supplies, and it's neat to see how things happen. Yeah, I'm liking that a lot.
Yeah, there's so much that you can do in the mill. It's really just you just have to kind of like laser focus on a few things, so that way you don't get overwhelmed on everything that you can do.
And it's like I'm getting to the point where it's like, oh, just let me loose with that mohair because I have so many ideas with the mohair. Well, the colored mohair that we have quite a bit of it, and we even have mohair that has been dyed that has not been put in those colorways yet because we're planning on doing a cool run with it using that colored mohair with a contrasting color of merino, so that way you get like one color that halos a different color. We're still working We're still
those details
experimenting.
out
Yeah.
yet, but that's something that's going to be coming this summer too.
And probably some. The words don't want to work. Sock bats for hand spinners down the road. We've been talking a little bit about this and trying to decide what we want to do in that regard. And yeah, I think that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Because it's like our sock yarn, but you get to spin it yourself.
You get to spin it yourself from a bat, where like our bats always have a lot of colors in it, so that way, because I know you did, you took a Smog's Fury bat that we did, and then you did like a gradient yarn out of it, which was really cool.
Yeah. Actually, that was two.
Two? Oh, okay.
Because I did. I can't remember the name of the shawl. It was one of the ones in an earlier edition of Knitty magazine, like the online knitting website.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like an Estonian lace shawl, and I went from red to like the golden yellow.
Yeah.
And it was so nice.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you'll be able to do stuff with that hopefully soon. It's just we need to find the time to do it all.
Yeah, well, we got a lot of dog hair to process.
We
I love
certainly
that you're
do.
like, oh.
Yeah, I'm just 2 months of doing dog hair. Like we had a break to do the Angora.
Yeah. See, it doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah.
Especially now that it doesn't make me sneeze.
Oh, that's true, because we've been washing it.
Yeah.
Although we did get some Kiviot in that we're working through now, and it's going to be...
my ache and nerves.
Yeah, it's
a little bit scary to work with, because I know, like, you're over at the dehairer and you're just like, oh,
yeah.
I know that's going to be a honey moment, sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, like it's...
And I'm at the Carter saying the same thing. It's like, oh, this is scary and I don't want to mess it up.
Yeah, and it's like, it's scary because, like, it's such a valuable fiber, and then this is going to be, like, the first time that I'm taking, like, control of the whole thing. Like, Linda's there, like, hovering over and making sure I don't do anything wrong. So the person that is getting this Kiviot, don't worry, it's going to be just as good as when Linda does it.
We have supervision.
Yeah, we have a lot of supervision, which
that's awesome. I'm so glad.
I would chain her to the dehair so that way she could watch me do it if I could, but just to make sure I don't mess up. Because
I like the look on Matt's face. He's like, I'm telling Mom.
Yeah,
you never chain her down.
No, I know.
Stop.
Just so that way she could make sure that I don't do it, because I'm just so nervous.
Yeah.
In some places, and like I'm going back and checking, because one of the things with Kiviot is that when you're working with it, you don't want it to noil, because then that
has a tendency.
A tendency to noil, and then that like comes out in the yarn, and it's bad. And
it's 1 ounce feeds on the carder, and trying to spread 1 ounce of fiber across that carder in a very smooth and even manner is scary.
Yeah. Yeah. And like and I mean, like when we're doing with wool, like merino for example, like it comes in, it's called comb tops, but like we don't get it in a big roving, we get it in pieces, and we can just like pile it on, and if like the layers are a little mountainous,
the wool is definitely more forgiving.
It's a lot more forgiving, where the Kiviot, like you need to make sure it looks like glass almost.
It's very smooth and even.
So it's one of those things that, like, we have 2 carders in our mill. It's one of those things that the other carder gets neglected and turned off while you're doing this other one. At least until the first carding process goes through, so that way when it goes into the roving, it's really consistent.
Yeah, because it's a double card jobby.
It's a double card jobby. Yeah. Anywho, I think that's it for today for all of our topics. We don't have a spinning tutorial today or a knitting tutorial today because we
weren't prepared.
Well, we weren't prepared, and I mean, we had to play catch up for not being able to do what we wanted to do last week. So next week we'll come up with something. Don't worry. Or next time, not next week.
Next week, yeah.
And this, you might have noticed, is episode 20. So we're coming up on our 1 year anniversary.
That's
like
impressive.
2.5 more months and we'll be there. So we'll
thank you for sticking with us.
And we'll do something special for that one, I think.
Yeah.
So I guess it's time for ratings, eh?
Yeah. Who wants to go first?
I can't think of anything right now.
I'll start off first.
Okay.
I just want to say I love how casually you guys knit amazing things. Like, I really am blown away by all the stuff you guys bring in. It's so nice.
To be fair, I have not knit anything on this podcast. I have been unknitting this.
Well, no, I mean, this specific one, no. But, like, I love that rose hat. I love, that headband.
Thank you.
But, I'm going to rate it 4 to 4 beautiful knitted hats.
Aw.
That's nice.
That's
You're
nice.
so sweet.
So now to contrast that, I need to come up with something really bad.
Really
Go
mean.
first. Yeah.
9 out of 9 fuzzy Goblin Scepters.
Got it.
You can't see right now, but Matt was doing like dance back there with his Goblin
I was
Scepter.
dancing with myself.
Damn. Okay. I'm gonna rate it 1 out of 1 amazing goblin masks. 'Cause
Oh,
that
yeah.
that was a wicked.
What do you mean?
So
find.
if you want
Guys,
to see
that's
the
not a
Goblin
mask.
mask or the Goblin face, Matt's true form.
It's just my face. I don't know
Yeah.
what you're talking about.
You're definitely gonna have to follow us on Instagram because that's where we're putting the photo, and it's
yeah.
great.
And I'm not putting it up here. You have to go to our Instagram.
Yeah.
Which follow our Shelf Strolls on Instagram. We have a Facebook page.
Yeah.
Follow the Belfast Mini Mills store page. We post stuff there too. We have our Ravelry groups. We do have Twitter. You can follow us, but I make no promises of tweeting.
And subscribe on the YouTube so you don't miss it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not that I think it's a problem yet, but hit that little bell notification
Yeah.
thing so that way you get notified when we put up a podcast. So that
Yeah.
way if I'm silly and forget to update something on the Facebook page the day that our podcast goes up,
Yeah.
you don't miss our thing. You don't have to wait another day for us to put that up.
So yeah, subscribe so you don't miss our thing.
Yeah,
I
our
like
thing.
that.
Yeah,
Our thing.
don't miss our thing. There's something that I meant to say as well, but I'll remember it and put it up later. It's fine.
Okay.
All right. Well, we'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.